It's been 8 long years and Nintendo finally has a new console coming. New hardware, new era, and a whole new strategy. And what's the first game they're bundling with it? It's not Zelda, it's not Metroid, and it's not even the upcoming Donkey Kong game, which is actually new IP. No, Nintendo's leading the charge with Mario Kart for $80, by the way. And if that sounds reasonable at first, let me remind you that before this newest release, we had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, aka the Switch 1's Mario Kart game, which is 8 years old at this point. And even that game was a port of an 11-year-old Wii U game. And yet, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe managed to outsell every other Switch title. In fact, it sold so well that it outdid 3 mainline Mario titles, 3 main Zelda titles, and both Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet combined, aka the 2 mainline Gen 8 and Gen 9 Pokemon games, and yet I feel like we never talk about it. See, Mario Kart is a bit of a quiet giant. It's a product so profitable that Nintendo didn't even have to make a real sequel for the entirety of the Switch's lifespan, and now, with Mario Kart World, they're taking what worked and they're doubling down. Higher price, bigger expectations, and a whole new console riding on its back. At first, this just feels obvious. Of course, Mario Kart's front and center, but that's kind of the point. Somewhere along the way, what started as filler became the foundation. Nintendo didn't just keep winning with Mario Kart, they built around it so gradually, you didn't even notice. And now Mario Kart isn't just part of the plan, it is the plan. So how did this happen? To understand, we've got to go back to the beginning. And the beginning, I would argue, started with this, the humble Wii wheel. Yes, Mario Kart existed before, but the Wii era wasn't just a new chapter, it was the origin story for the version of Mario Kart we know today. And I'm not kidding about the Wii wheel being a big reason why, because the brilliance of the Wii and of Mario Kart Wii was that it didn't try to appeal to gamers, it appealed to people and met them where they already were. And I can't think of a better example that demonstrates the entire philosophy behind the Wii than this iconic Wii commercial from 2006.
We would like to play.
We would like to play. A console for the whole family, not just your core gamers. Your mom is going crazy in the bowling alley while the Nintendo execs rake in money. Probably, if not one of the best video game ads of all time. All this is to say that the Wii wasn't just a console. It was bowling night with grandpa. It was tennis in the living room. And for 37 million people, it was this. See, before the Wii, Mario Kart was getting more complex. More buttons, more systems, more ideas. Double Dash was the game that came before Mario Kart Wii, and it had 2 characters per kart. It was creative, but it was also chaotic. Nintendo was innovating, but not necessarily broadening. Double Dash was a dinner party for super fans, but Mario Kart Wii was a barbecue where your uncle, your cousin, and your grandma could all join in. It's really no wonder why this game quickly became the best-selling Mario Kart game up to that point. But Mario Kart Wii didn't just sell well for a Mario Kart game. It became the best-selling Wii title, period. The second best, losing only to Wii Sports. And that one literally came with the box, so I'm chalking it up as a dub for Mario Kart Wii here. All of this is to say, this is where Mario Kart as a franchise was born, on a simple premise. Make Mario Kart a game for everyone, and everyone will want to play it. And it worked. And then when 3DS rolled around, it worked again. And when the Switch launched, Nintendo didn't even need a new Mario Kart. They just took the Wii U version, slapped a deluxe sticker on it, and tossed it out there. And this is a great illustration of what I'm talking about. This is IGN's graphics comparison between the Wii U and the Switch. For all intents and purposes, it's basically the same game. You're getting maybe a better frame rate and you're obviously able to play it on the new console, but there's no surprise here. And despite all that, despite it being simply a port with new window dressing, people loved it. Wired called Mario Kart 8 Deluxe the pinnacle of Nintendo's series. IGN gave it a 9.3 out of 10, and it was crowned generally the best, most versatile game in the series. But the craziest part is that this success wasn't manufactured, it kind of emerged. Even Nintendo didn't realize what they had done. They kind of stumbled into success here, because what they had done was create the perfect evergreen game. Now, evergreen is one of those marketing words that gets thrown around so much it starts to lose all meaning, but I think the best way I can demonstrate this to you, and the way that I love doing that, is with numbers and data. So let's take a look. Now this is yearly unit game sales in millions for 3 different titles. The most iconic of the Switch era, I would argue. And this kind of demonstrates what I'm talking about. Most games are seasonal. They drop, they dominate for a few weeks, maybe a couple months if they're lucky, and then they fade. Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey are great examples of this. They sold incredibly well in 2017 when the Switch first launched, and then over time sold less and less. This isn't a stain on their run. Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey both were like massively praised, right? This is what the normal lifespan of a video game looks like. It's a boom and a bust. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is not normal. Every year since the Switch came out, it never sold less than 6 million copies a year, which is an insane anomaly. This is what I mean when I'm talking about an evergreen game. It's always in season. It's like jeans or Oreos. It doesn't need a moment, it just keeps selling. McDonald's doesn't make ads to tell you about their fries. Nintendo doesn't need to hype up Mario Kart. It's already a default choice. In fact, here's a crazier fact. Mario Kart last year in 2024 sold as much as Breath of the Wild the first year the Switch came out. If that's not a marker of success, then I don't know what is. But what's crazy is that Nintendo didn't seem to realize this until way too late. When the Switch launched, they didn't even bother to make a new game. Like I mentioned, they just dusted off the Wii U version and gave it a fresh coat of paint. But what is it about Mario Kart in particular that kept it flying off the shelf? This is what I call the Mario Kart loop of success, okay? Mario Kart's not just a game, it's a self-reinforcing machine. It's always in the top 10, which makes people think, oh, I guess I should grab that too. And that visibility leads to more sales lead to more bundles put it in more households, and finally, because it's multiplayer first and instantly accessible, it spreads. You know, you play it at a party and suddenly you want it for yourself, your friend owns it, so you buy it to race them online. All this is to say the game doesn't need hype, it doesn't need updates, it just needs to exist and the loop takes care of the rest. That's the brilliance of Mario Kart's evergreen design. And here's the wildest part, Nintendo didn't even set out to build this loop. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe wasn't some masterstroke of strategy, it was a port. It was a backup plan, but it accidentally became the most important game on the console. When the Switch launched, Mario Kart wasn't the star, Zelda was the launch title. Mario Odyssey came out later that year, around end of October, which would have lined up perfectly with Black Friday and the Christmas season. And Mario Kart, it showed up quietly. 8 weeks in, just a deluxe edition of the Wii U game, barely touched. It wasn't supposed to lead, it was just supposed to fill space. But then it sold, and it sold, and it sold, and it didn't stop. Nintendo didn't build the Switch around Mario Kart, but by the end of the generation, it kind of looked like they had. It gets even more clear when you timeline out the events here. Take a look. So in 2017, right, the Switch is released. 8 weeks later, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe happens. You have a bunch of games that follow: Splatoon, Smash, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Metroid. And then after 5 years of continued evergreen success, Nintendo suddenly goes, oh wait, people actually like this game. And then out of the blue random in 2022, 5 years later, they drop DLC. After 5 years, we get new karts, new characters, and 48 new tracks. But here's the thing, the DLC didn't come from ambition, it came from realization. Because if we think about it, the DLC didn't really add much. There weren't any changes to the existing mechanics, there weren't any visual upgrades. Like some of the courses that they added were clowned on for being less visually distinct than the base game itself. All this is to say it's the mechanics were more or less unchanged. They just gave us more of the same. They gave us recycled courses from past Mario Kart games. They even threw in tracks from the mobile game, as I discussed earlier, with Tour Paris Promenade, you know, where they took like real life places and put it in Mario Kart, which was cool for sure. But this is what makes Mario Kart so damn good. It's a win-win. Nintendo doesn't have to use a ton of resources to develop these tracks, and we get to listen to an updated version of the Coconut Mall theme. And if you believe in the enlightened consumer of Nintendo that they wouldn't fall for such low effort shovelware, I got some bad news for you. People ate it up. For 4 years, Nintendo forgot it had a magic goose, found it in the back fucking closet, kicked it once, and it just started pushing out golden eggs like a Hershey's Kisses factory. So when it came time to build for the Switch 2, they didn't start from scratch. Why would they do that? They have our number. They figured us out. They know exactly what we want, which brings us to the current era. Enter Mario Kart World. It's already controversial. Fans are hyped for a new game, but they're pissed about the price. $80. For context, that's more than what most AAA games launch at and more than any Mario Kart game has ever cost. And Nintendo knew that it would receive some level of blowback, but not the extent to what we're seeing now, I think. Because the gut reaction from a lot of people is Nintendo is starting to suck, they're pathetic, they're milking us, they're greedy. And before you call me a shill, listen, I completely agree here. This is a greedy move from Nintendo, full stop. But I don't think it's mindless greed. It's even worse. It's calculated, strategic greed. Nintendo's done underestimating Mario Kart. They're not releasing it quietly and hoping it finds success 5 years later. This time, they're launching it under the assumption that it's already their biggest game. Even if you're frustrated by the price, let's be honest, you're probably still going to buy it. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as a reality Nintendo has finally accepted. You know what you're getting with Mario Kart, a guaranteed fun time with your friends, no tutorials, no skill barrier, no meta unless you're a try-hard at parties, in which case, go off with your Waluigi Wiggler with your roller wheels and Wario glider. Listen, I've been down that rabbit hole. You'll win the game, but you'll lose friends. And it's not just that Mario Kart sells, it's that it never stops. And Nintendo isn't betting everything on it because it's exciting. They're betting on it because it's safe. They're betting on it because of this graph right here. And yeah, this video is going out right before the Mario Kart Direct. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Nintendo will have a change of heart. Remember what Iwata said about video games being fun for everyone. Maybe they'll drop the price and then this whole rant will look ridiculous. But let's be real. This isn't a gamble for them. It's a cash grab with training wheels, because this isn't the weird, scrappy Nintendo of the past. This is a company that figured it out that they could resell your childhood back to you indefinitely, and now it's running the playbook with zero shame. So what do? I'm not gonna say boycott, that's not how this works. You're probably still gonna buy it, I'm probably still gonna buy it, but here's the deal. If Nintendo's going to act like their games are $80, then it's on us to act like $80 is actually a lot of money, which means no more applauding when they hand us reused mobile tracks like it's a birthday gift, no more calling it DLC when it's a greatest hits album with worst sound quality. If they're gonna charge us premium, they better deliver premium, or at the very least, they should feel embarrassed when they don't.